Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So today we are going to be seeing another big boat. Now, Gaijin has listened to us in the past, and you know, that where most people have said we want bigger boats. Now, we got to see that in the last episode, and there was a lot of opinions, and a lot of comments, and a lot of discussion on the matter, and I was pleased to see it. But it did seem still pretty, split. There's a lot of people who are still salty little sailors about the fact that there won't be big ships. And, that is definitely, there's reason to be disappointed, because it would be amazing to see what it would be like to play a battleship, a cruiser, a destroyer, hell, even an aircraft carrier, in a game engine that does its best to be realistic and give you a feeling, of what it may have been like, right? And then there's a lot of people that see that, we went from small boats to bigger boats, and there is progress being made, right? So it's still pretty much split. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Project 122 BIS sub chaser. So once again, we gotta get into this discussion, right? We gotta see is this moving in the right direction? I think so. This is a Russian one. So in the last episode, I was reminded that my German was Scheiße. Did you see what I did there, Germans? Now, the Project 122 BIS Subchaser is Russian, so I will now only offend the Russians with my terrible pronunciation if we get to that point. So, Gaijin is pleased to present another heavy-hitting boat that will appear in War Thunder Naval Forces closed beta test, quote, very soon. The Project 122 BIS. The large Project 122 BIS submarine chaser was developed in the Soviet Union on the eve of the Great Patriotic War. Unfortunately, the war prevented large-scale production, but immediately after the war ended, military command decided to increase the production of Project 122 boats, at the same time performing important modernization efforts. So that was basically the revolution at the end of World War I, right? Nope, they called World War II the Great Patriotic War. So there was a little bit of modernization after 1945. The factories of the United Soviet Socialist Republics turned out to be capable of producing Project 122A and Project 122 BIS at an impressive pace, enough to even export them to countries friendly to the Soviet Union. So this thing looks pretty nice. Look at those guns, man. It's looking good. So in War Thunder, Gaijin presents to you the Project 122 BIS of the post-war production series. The boat was decent artillery armament. Its main caliber is the universal 85mm K90 with armor-piercing and high-explosive shells, successfully backed up by a pair of 37mm autocannons and several high-caliber machine guns. Now, are those high-caliber machine guns the 14.5 or the 12.7mm? Because that's one of the cool things about the Russians, is they do have those heavier 14.5mm machine guns. Anyway, the main features of the Project 122 BIS in War Thunder are depth charges and a special jet-powered bomb thrower for them. How cool is that? Jet-powered bomb thrower? I'm interested, I'm curious. This is the first boat in the game with armament like this. The bombs can not only be dropped behind the boat, but also launched ahead and even to the sides. The bombs don't fly very far, but their steep trajectory allows them to be thrown very accurately. The delay on the explosion of the depth charges will also add significant variety to gameplay. A small area in front of a moving enemy can be quickly mined to send the opponent to the bottom. It's worth a go. So we were talking about in the last episode how it felt like reliably, you either had to kill the 3 individual sections of the boat or you could hit them with 1 torpedo. In depth charges would be pretty interesting as well, because you're going to be able to drop them and on a pursuing ship, which does happen with ships of this size. See, that's one thing you don't get with larger ships, is people will be pursuing you within the distance measured in feet and meters, right? So obviously, drop a depth charge, send them to Davy Jones' locker, and call it a day, right? And it's a good, reliable way to significantly destroy an enemy relatively quickly, right? So anyway, keep an eye on Gaijin's devlog and be the first to find out the recent news about new additions to the game. So there's still no information as to when the next closed beta test will be, but Here's an interesting piece of information, of opinion, that was shown off in the last video we did. So, Kay on Hudson said that this is a ship. If it carries a rowboat, and if a vessel is capable of carrying a rowboat, then can it be considered a ship? Now, a lot of people are apt to point out that there's no distinct difference between a boat and a ship. It's more of personal feel. So I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of people, if it's not a destroyer, I think it seems like in most people's eyes, if it's not a destroyer, then it's a boat. But if it's a destroyer above, it's a ship. Although it'd be cool to see corvettes. Corvettes would be what? Somewhere in between this and a destroyer, I think would be safe to say. Subchasers are relatively small traditionally, compared to larger class ships. But anyway, the armament of this thing is pretty interesting. It looks like it only has 185mm in the bow, and then what is that? 237s in the rear, and we don't have as many pictures. And then I guess, yeah, the twin 37s are behind the command tower. Those jet-propelled bombs are in the front and not in the back. The depth charge launchers are in the rear, and there's some heavy machine guns in the fore and in the aft. So pretty potent weapon system. And a lot of people, I was arguing about how I think that currently War Thunder boats, or War Thunder ships, War Thunder Navy, let's call it War Thunder Navy, right? War Thunder Navy, with planes, you can kill a plane pretty quickly. In tanks, you can one-shot an enemy. You can get one-shots in tanks and planes to wipe out an enemy ship, and, well, excuse me, to kill a plane or a tank, right? But in boats, you'd have to use torpedoes and depth charges, right? But everything else, it seems like you're just slugging it out with an enemy, and it almost feels like I want to say spray and pray, but like you still have to aim for specific areas, but it's not as intense maybe at the feeling of like rolling up on an enemy tank and you each have like 1 second to get the shot off. You know those times it's like a draw, like an old Western film. You're out there, you know, tumbleweeds are rolling by, and that one guy who talks shit about your woman is sitting over there with his 6-shooter and his fingers dangling right next to it, right? And you gotta pull it out and you gotta shoot it, right? That's kind of like how tanks are. With boats, it's just like you see them and you're just like shooting bullets at them for, you know, a considerable amount of time. And so that was just my thought, but a lot of people seem to enjoy it. And see, that's the thing. That's kind of the beautiful thing of this. And also one of the issues is that there are divergent opinions with regards to like anything and any change that they're going to be made. There's going to be people who like it and people who don't like it. But I think that when you're going with bigger ships, the smaller ships with torpedoes seem to have more of a purpose. I still kind of advocate for the idea of a game mode, maybe a special event, where you encounter something like the Yamato. Because there's models for it in game. Obviously, they would have to be updated, modernized, and the detail would have to go considerably up. But you could have it like kind of like Battlefield, you know, where you have the behemoths, the giant dreadnought that you had to take out, and you could use planes and ground vehicles and artillery, and then there were little torpedo boats that went out to drop torpedoes and send the fish towards the dreadnought and sink it, right? It's pretty cool stuff, and that would be an interesting game mode of that. I think it would do well. It could do well in War Thunder, but it's definitely worth testing at the very least, because in their trailer, they showed a large ship firing its main guns, its secondaries, its tertiaries, and its small arms at incoming torpedo boats. I don't think it's legitimate. It's not right to preview something like that if that won't be at least a game mode or a possibility in the future, right? But Gaijin has come out in the past and saying big ships just will not work. And I'm thinking that means big ships will not work within the engine, but they also make a compelling case for traditionally how capital ships fought each other was over the horizon. That's not, I mean, I don't want to, let me rephrase. I would enjoy that for a small amount of time, but I'd say the majority of my time is I want my face. You know, I want to be able to see the whites of the enemy's eyes, right? I want to get close if I need to, and also be able to snipe them, right? And that's, you can do both of those things. There are people in planes who are able to get 1 kilometer kills. I don't know why I said kilometer. I just went 1 kilometer kills right there. You know, 1 to 2 kilometers have been, you know, there are people who on occasion can do it somewhat reliably, right? In tanks, you can get the same type of situation more easier than in aircraft. You know, but you always see the enemy, and I don't know, like, you can always get in brawl too, and like that's kind of the fun, is you get a little bit of that. But so there's not really a play style that we have an example of in War Thunder where, you know, you're firing over the horizon and wrecking people, or, you know, hitting them, and then you get into an 1 to 3 hour long gun battle. And I think that's relatively short considering how, like, historically, you know, a lot of naval battles went when it became time for a battleship fighting another battleship over the horizon, exceeding 11, 13, you know, miles, stuff like that. But hey, I'd be the guy in the destroyer anyway, running a zigzag pattern, dropping smoke, and then sending torpedoes your way. That's my personal style of play. So you gotta remember that, like, I'm excited for boats because at the end of the day, they've got torpedoes on them, and I think that's my favorite naval weapon ever. I remember playing Shogun 2 Total War, Follow the Samurai, and there was little torpedo boats, and everyone had these big old ironclads, and I just massed torpedo boats and I would torpedo them, and it was so much fun. I've always loved torpedoes, I always will, and these bigger boats are prime targets for torpedoes. So bring on bigger ships, but I would have fun. Now, torpedo boat versus torpedo boat wouldn't be nearly as fun or as immersive or historical as like a torpedo boat versus a big ship, but those are my thoughts on the matter. Ladies and gentlemen, give me yours. But as of now, we've got this thing, and then we've got, what was it called? Big boat, the MZ1. So we've got 2. It's going to be interesting to see what other nations, you know, bigger boats that they're going to show off. And are these tier 10s, or is this like another class entirely, where you kind of have like a World of Warships scenario where it's not only, you know, tiers. Well, no, it'd still be tiers, because you'd have, yeah. This would be what? But would we have different trees? I would imagine so. Maybe we just, I don't even know. They haven't even teased a tech tree trailer yet. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Baron. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this rambling, and I hope it did inspire some good discussions in the comment section so that we can get our thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the matter out there, so that, you know, we got something to show Gaijin saying this is what we like to see in the game. So, a good move. Are you pleased with it, or is it still not enough? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in the next video. Ooh, that guy's bombs. Oh, we got a hit, and we damaged ourselves probably. Oh my god, look how beautiful this castle is. This is why you wish War Thunder had infantry. Alright, let's build up some speed here, because when you look at that fort, it is gorgeous. Alright, so we got 10 seconds till bombs are present. We got someone on our 6 o'clock. Oh shit, we're not as maneuverable as we were. Ooh! Crash! Hold on, let's just watch this. Now, it looked like I was a few feet left. Ooh, belly dive. No one? We gotta get a hit on this Beaufort. Oh, we crashed. Alright, guys, well, that seems to be it right there. Let's see how we did. Hey, Baron, I'm your sub. Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. Yeah, everybody's having fun. Let's see the stats. 7 kills, 10 assists, boys. That is a good game right there. Torpedoes is the truth. That is literally the best weapon in War Thunder Coast Guard. Didn't expect it to be so, but it is.